Hello, beautiful being. Welcome back to the Monday Messages. I'm Katie J. Today's a really exciting, make sure my locks aren't hitting the mic. Today's a really exciting day because it's Monday, the 17th of February, and it's my first day as a full-time coach and mentor. So that's just a really exciting thing in my life. I hope there's some exciting things happening in your life as well. Today in the Monday Messages, I'm responding to a message I received from one of my clients, and she is currently reading not Think and Grow Rich, Becoming Supernatural, one of my other big favorite books. And Becoming Supernatural is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I reference it quite a bit in my manifestation boot camp. And she asked me, so he talks about the quantum field and transcending. Have you ever experienced it? So I wanted to share so I've had a few spiritual experiences in my life. And part of that is because I grew up in a very spiritual household, specifically one that practiced religion, a specific religion. And I can talk about this more in detail, maybe in a post or something or in a training, but spirituality and religion are not the same thing. And I've had a few spiritual experiences because of my religion, because religion is a spiritual practice. It falls under the umbrella of spirituality. But in more recent years, since I've explored more Eastern thought and the science of manifesting, I have that knowledge, that spiritual knowledge that I've developed over my lifetime, and more specifically in the last few years, has really opened me up to having spiritual experiences that do include the quantum field and the things that he talks about in this book. And there are a lot of things in this book that I feel like can really go over your head, or you're like, what on earth is he even talking about? I even felt that way during some parts of his book where anyway, I won't go into the details of it, but what I want to share with you guys today is a spiritual experience that I had a few years ago. It was early 2018. I was living and volunteering at Bodhi Surf and Yoga, the same yoga camp that I'm going to go visit and then host a retreat at in 2021. I'm going to go visit them in March. So I was interning there, and in the intern housing situation, there were two other people that I lived with. They were both gone this particular night. The couple who lived on the other side of the building, they were gone this particular night. So I was like, it's just me in the building for the first time since arriving on this trip in Costa Rica. I want to have a ceremony to just bless this time in my life. And at that time in my life, I had just started Wanderwell podcast. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had no idea how I was going to make money. I wanted to be a digital entrepreneur specifically so that I could make money from anywhere. And I still had no idea how I was going to do it. And I was in this like very receptive state in my life where I was looking for guidance. I was looking for inspiration. I was connecting with women who were living their best lives and recording their stories and sharing them on my podcast. And that night I said, okay, I want to have a ceremony that's to honor this time in my life and basically like opening myself up to answers and whatever it is, that guidance that wants to come through. So I won't get into like all of the details of the ceremony because it's really not that important, because ceremonies are very unique to each person. They're very personal experiences. But what I will tell you is there was dancing involved, there was yoga involved, there was meditation involved. I had my yoga mat on the floor and candles and crystals and my deck of oracle cards. I laid out my jungle blanket that I still have. My aunt made me this jungle blanket. It's amazing. I use it, and I took it all the way to Costa Rica with me. And I laid out my jungle blanket and laid out all my crystals, and I put on my favorite album, which is the ayahuasca album by Parangi, who I've had the esteemed privilege of having dinner with this person, Parangi, this musician. I've gone to a few of his sound healings. He walks around with a big old didgeridoo. It's awesome. So I put on one of his CDs. It's about 30 minutes long, and I danced to it. I just allowed my body to feel the movements of the freedom that I was experiencing at that point in my life, and just allowed myself to really be soaked into this experience. And then at one point I laid down, and I remember my feet were actually like going like this to the music, like on their own. I did not do that. I was not moving my feet any longer when I was on the ground. And it was something that actually, if we're being honest with each other, it freaked me out a little bit, because I was like, if anyone walks by and sees this happening, they're going to think that I'm possessed. But I was literally just so like entranced in the music and in the moment that my body was just moving on its own. So then I lay down, and I basically have this visualization experience. And this is where it gets a little bit woo-woo, a little bit spiritual. So bear with me. I basically felt from my feet all the way up my body and then out of my shoulders, I felt my body dissipating as if it were dust. So it was like my feet just disappeared, my legs disappeared, my hips disappeared, my stomach disappeared, and my chest disappeared. And then everything, and then my head started to do the same thing, and it met right here in my heart center. And that disappearing was like, it was like I was turning into dust or ash or stardust. I can't even really describe what it was like, but it was not just a visualization, it was a feeling as well. It was an experience in my body. So I was basically disappearing up to here, and then out through my shoulders, it was almost like disappearing dust into wings. Like my arms and my hands all disappeared, and I became the cosmos. I became the galaxy. I became the quantum field of existence, where I was nothing. I was no one. And if you do any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, he does guide you into becoming no thing, no one, nowhere, right? You're just this infinite galaxy. And what that taught me, when I combine that spiritual experience of literally becoming the universe and the spiritual knowledge that I've gained about the chakra systems and my relationship to God and to the universe and to myself and to my past and to my future, and like all the knowledge that I've acquired to become a coach and to become a mentor, mixed with this experience, this very specific spiritual experience, to allow me to not only just know that I have the infinite power of the universe inside me, but to actually feel it, to actually experience it, to actually, like, there's one thing to say, to close your eyes and know that there's a computer or a screen in front of you. And there's a whole other situation where your eyes are open and you get to touch that screen and feel it and know that it's there because, well, let me explain that better. So if you close your eyes and, you're in a dark room, and I tell you, like, there's a loved one in front of you, like it's one of the people that you love is in front of you, you can either believe me or not believe me, but it's not until you open your eyes and see that person in front of you and get to hug them and experience their body next to yours that you actually know. So there was the difference there. There was the shift there for me, where I felt like my eyes were open to saying, like, and to realizing through this experience that, like, yes, I am the universe. I experienced myself as this microcosm within the macrocosm. And if I can do that, if I know that I'm a part of the universe, if I know that I'm part of the quantum field, then with my consciousness, with my awareness, with my thoughts, with my perception, I can create whatever reality I want to out of scratch, out of nothing, Because if you are no thing, no one, nowhere, and you're just pure cosmic potential, then you can create anything you want. You can have anything you want. You can feel anything you want. You can live however you want. And in my studies, one thing that I have also come across that I think is really important to mention here, it was a YouTube video from this monk. I don't even know his name or what it was about, but the main point that I took away from that video was that a lot of us chase spiritual experiences. A lot of us want to have the ayahuasca ceremony or the mushroom trip or be high on marijuana or meditate until we have that transcendental experience. And that's great. That's awesome. It's awesome to have spiritual experiences. But if you don't have the spiritual support or the spiritual knowledge to integrate that into your life, then it's futile. Then it's just I don't want to say worthless, but it's not going to help you progress. It's just going to be something that you have a lot of questions about, you're maybe confused about, you're feeling uncertain and like, what did I just experience? Like, what does it all mean? How do I apply it? And if you've ever felt that way, I want to encourage you to reach out to somebody that you trust, whether that's me or a friend or a family member or some other spiritual guide, to help you navigate what a spiritual experience means and how to actually use it for your personal development and growth and manifestation journey. And that's what I love to do when people come to me with spiritual experiences. I once had a client who, she was like, I feel like, she said she had a dream where she was talking to her wise inner guide and didn't know what to do with that. Like, she didn't know how to access it again. She didn't know how to go back to that. She didn't know how to speak to her wise inner guide again. And so I guided her through some exercises to help her rekindle that connection and reintegrate those types of experiences so that she can continuously visit that again and again and always have access to her wise inner guide. So if you have ever had an experience like that, a really spiritual experience where you've been in the quantum field or met one of your ancestors or spoken to your wise inner guide or whatever it is, your angels, God, universe, whatever it is that you believe in, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to integrate it. I don't know how to go back to that place. I have unanswered questions. I would love it if you reached out to me, because that's why I'm here. That's what I do. That's how I help. So I hope that by sharing this story, by sharing this experience with you guys about one of my personal spiritual experiences, spiritual awakenings, if you will help to at least remind you that you are on the right path at all times and that the support systems are here. So all you have to do is ask. That's it for today's Monday message. I love you so, so dearly. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next week on the Monday messages. By the way, I'm going to be way more active on Instagram now that I'm full-time in my business. So if you're not already following me, if you're not already part of my community, then go ahead and just search Womanifester with an ER on the end, and that's where you'll find me. I hope you have a fantastic day. Mwah.